My fiancée skipped dinner with my parents to go to the movies with her male best friend and pawned our engagement ring to help him. So I ended everything, watched him dump her, and disappear while she begged me to take her back. If I had been told a year ago that all of this would end like this, I would not have believed it. I was already ready to get married. I had the ring, the plans, and the certainty that I had found the woman with whom I wanted to grow old. I am not saying everything was perfect, but I did believe there was respect, commitment, and loyalty, the minimum to build something real. I was wrong. Camila was the type of person who seemed to have her own glow, warm, intelligent, funny. She had that something that made everything seem lighter when she was around. With her, it was easy to pass the time. She did not force anything. She did not look for problems where there were none. I liked her way of taking life, her sense of humor, and that calm she conveyed without saying much. Being with her felt good. I was not looking for a perfect woman, just someone with whom to build something real. And for a while, I thought I had found her. Alvaro was always in her life. They were lifelong friends, inseparable since childhood. At the beginning, it did not bother me. She said he was like a brother, that there had never been anything weird between them, and I decided to believe her. I really tried. I did not want to be that kind of partner who is distrustful of everything. But over time, I realized that in many important decisions, he always came first. And every time something made me uncomfortable, the conversation ended with her telling me I was exaggerating, that I had to trust. Looking back, I do not know how I could have put up with it for so long. Maybe because I really loved her, or because I did not want to accept that something was broken. But I am not that guy anymore. It will not happen to me again. When I met Camila, it was in a cooking class I signed up for out of boredom, more to fill the afternoons than for the love of the culinary arts. I would arrive late, sit in the back, and follow the recipes without talking to anyone, but then she appeared like a whirlwind. She would greet the group as if she had known them her whole life, with a boisterous laugh and an energy that was contagious. I remember that the first time, she dropped a spoon and instead of being embarrassed, she told a joke so silly that everyone laughed, myself included. With just one exchange of words, I knew I wanted to stay. She was not just pretty, she was magnetic. You could tell she had a world of her own and was not afraid to show herself as she was. From then on, we started running into each other more in classes, at cafes afterwards, in increasingly frequent messages. And little by little we grew together, overcoming insecurities, sharing goals, building something in common. We made a home where before there was only space for one. When I proposed to her, she cried as if she did not expect it, even though she knew she wanted it. She had that mix of surprise and relief, as if everything made sense. She hugged me so tight I thought she would never let go. And I, at that moment, was completely thrilled. I threw myself completely into my part. Dates, venues, budgets, vendors. I am not a fan of the drama of organizing a wedding. In fact, it overwhelms me, but I did it with pleasure because it was for her, because I wanted it to turn out well. She also got involved, of course, but with a difference that I soon noticed. Many of her decisions went through Alvaro first. I met him from the beginning. She introduced him to me as her soul brother, someone who had been with her through all her stages, adolescence, breakups, achievements. They shared inside jokes, weird references, a way of talking to each other that made it clear they went way back. And although it sounds bad to say it, it made me uncomfortable. I never fully accepted him, not because he did anything to me directly, but because of his way of being, his overconfidence, too much presence in our lives. He always seemed to have one foot in our relationship, but I tolerated it for her because I did not want to seem insecure or jealous, and because I trusted that if she had chosen me, it was for a reason. There were dinners where he made himself at home, vacations where he coincidentally was in the same city. Camila would laugh, defend him, say I was exaggerating, and I, out of love, chose to look the other way. I swallowed my jealousy, my doubts. I thought it was part of the package, but the engagement changed something, or at least that is how I felt. When we got engaged, I thought priorities would change, that this symbiotic bond with Alvaro would start to have natural limits, that now it would be her and me making important decisions as a couple. But no, it was the complete opposite. Suddenly they had more outings together, new excuses, plans that appeared by chance. They sent each other inside memes, videos, audios with cartoon voices, nicknames like my platonic other half, my forever bro, the eternal A and C team. They took pictures hugging and posted them with captions like, "Always us against the world," as if the commitment to a third party, to me, did not affect them in the slightest. And they were not old memories. They were new, current things that kept happening. I commented on it respectfully, without accusations, trying not to sound bitter, although inside, the discomfort was already a knot. "Do you think it is normal for him to have an opinion on the wedding dress before I do?" I asked one night, feigning a calm I did not feel. She let out a soft, almost mocking laugh, as if my comment were absurd or out of place. "Oh, do not exaggerate. Alvaro is just excited. He has known me my whole life. He always helps me with these things." "I know, but there are things I feel we should decide between the two of us. He is not going to marry you. I am." She turned her head towards me, still smiling, but with a different nuance, almost annoyed. "You are not understanding. It is just his way of being present. It is his way of telling me he is happy for me." The conversation could have ended there, but it did not, because a few days later, while we were talking to a friend of hers via video call, the topic of the music for the ceremony came up. It was then that I heard something that left me silent. "Oh, yes," Camila said, as if it were nothing. "Alvaro and I already chose the entrance song. It is going to be perfect." A song I did not even know. I did not even know they had been talking about it, much less that they had already decided. I brought up the topic again, this time more seriously. I told her I was feeling displaced, that this no longer seemed like a commitment of two, but of three, that there were things that should include me, if only for respect. That is when she shut down completely. "Are you going to start with jealousy now?" she said without raising her voice, but looking at me as if I had just crossed a line. "Because if you are going that way, you might as well tell me right now that you do not trust me." "It is not jealousy, it is respect," I answered, keeping my tone low. "Then do not say things that sound like the opposite. Sometimes I feel like you are waiting for any excuse to mark your territory. Do you know what that is called?" I stayed quiet. I already knew where she was going. Control. And yes, it can also sound like chauvinism. I swallowed the urge to answer with anger, not because I agreed, but because I understood that any word I said would only fuel the argument. I nodded, more out of exhaustion than conviction. Inside, I already felt that we were ceasing to speak the same language. I was trying to set boundaries. She turned them into personal offenses. I wanted this to work, but I did not know how. And meanwhile, Alvaro was still there, as if the wedding were his too. A few weeks later, we had organized a dinner with my parents. It had been planned for a week. Nothing special, just a quiet meal at home. Camila had said yes. She even seemed enthusiastic when we proposed it, but an hour before, I got a message from her. "Sorry, love. Alvaro is having a bad day and asked me to go out. We are going to the movies. I will let you know when I get there." I stared at the screen for a few seconds, waiting for a second message, a clearer explanation, something that would at least try to sound like an apology, but nothing more came. My parents arrived on time. They brought a bottle of wine and that kind attitude of people who are trying not to be intrusive. They asked about her, of course. I made up that something had come up at work, a last-minute meeting. My mother nodded. She did not say anything, but her silence was heavy. The meal was brief. Forced comments, long pauses, plates that were left half full. I tried to act normal, to keep the conversation going, but inside I was juggling shame, discomfort, and anger. I felt exposed. Alone. Camila arrived at almost 11. She came in laughing with her phone in her hand and her jacket half off her arm. She was still wearing the movie wristband, one of those plastic paper ones. "Did your parents already leave?" she asked, as if she had just forgotten there was a dinner planned. "Yes, a while ago," I answered dryly. "Oh, well, they were probably tired anyway." She took off her shoes, and without looking at me, as if nothing had happened, I followed her to the room. "You had said you would come," I reminded her. "I know, but Alvaro was acting weird, down. We went for a walk, and then the movie thing came up. It was not planned, and it did not even occur to you to write sooner. I wrote to you as soon as we decided. It was an hour before. You already knew they were coming. And I also knew it was not a formal dinner or anything. I thought you would understand." I crossed my arms. I was making an immense effort not to raise my voice. "Camila, it is not just about the dinner. It is about the way you did it. It is as if everything of yours goes through Alvaro first, even the simple things, even what should be obvious." She huffed and crossed her arms too, as if suddenly I were the one out of line. "There you go again. Do you really not see what you are doing? It is Alvaro, my best friend. How many times are we going to have this conversation? And what am I? The guy you are going to marry or the backdrop to your life? There was a silence, one of those that does not make you uncomfortable, but chills everything. She looked down for a second, as if she were hesitating, as if something weighed on her, even a little. But it was only for a second. You are not being fair, she said in the end. You are blowing everything out of proportion. I am asking you for respect. That is not disproportionate. I promise I will be more careful, she said then, lowering her tone. That I will change some things. Just do not make it so big. Yes, but she said it without soul, without weight, like a learned script, something you say just to make the other person shut up. After that last argument, Camila seemed to take what we talked about seriously. She began to distance herself from Alvaro. Those endless messages were gone, as were their whispered jokes while I was next to her not participating. The customary late-night calls were also gone, as were the impromptu outings that did not include explanations. All of that faded away, as if she herself had finally understood that her closeness with him was an open wound between us. There were days when I thought we were us again. We started cooking together again. She laughed more. She hugged me without me asking. She looked me in the eyes when we talked. Small details, almost imperceptible to anyone else. But for me they were signs, like when you start to see green shoots on a plant you thought was dead. Even my mother, without knowing anything about what had happened, commented that we seemed better. She said she saw her more present, more focused on us, like before. I nodded without telling her what had already happened, without talking about Alvaro, or my doubts, or the nights when I wondered if I was making a fool of myself by still being there. It was a quiet month, or so I thought. One night, as we were going out to dinner together, I noticed she was not wearing the ring. It was when we were getting out of the car, as she was unbuckling her seatbelt. Her left hand passed in front of my eyes, and something inside me went off like a silent alarm. What about that? I asked, trying to sound casual. I said it in a neutral tone, like someone asking about a forgotten scarf. Camila looked at her hand as if she had just noticed. Oh, I left it in the bathroom. I was trying on accessories and I left it on the shelf, she replied naturally. She smiled faintly, one of those smiles that seem rehearsed in front of the mirror. She shook her head, downplaying it. We are already here. We cannot go back to get it now, but it is there. Do not worry. I believed her, or I wanted to believe her, because at that moment, after so many fights, what I wanted most was to have peace, not to go back to the constant tension, not another difficult conversation in a restaurant. So I did not insist. I forced myself to think it was just a distraction, an oversight that meant nothing. A few days later, while I was looking for my portable charger, I swore I had left it in a drawer somewhere. I opened the first drawer of her nightstand. Among notebooks, shopping receipts, and little bags with accessories, I found something I did not expect, a pawn shop receipt. It was folded in four, tucked under a box of adhesive bandages. The date was from a week ago, just a few days before the dinner. The description, unmistakable. 10-karat gold ring with internal engraving. My stomach churned. That was my ring, the one I bought with months of effort, the one I chose carefully, with nerves, with excitement, the one I hid in the back of the closet so she would not see it before the right moment, the one that had an engraving that said, "Our time," because that is what we used to call ourselves, our time. I stood still with the paper between my fingers, as if it were burning. I do not know how long I was like that. The clock on my phone said 7:22 when I opened the drawer. The next time I looked at it, it was past 8. I did not call, I did not write. I just sat on the couch with the receipt in my hand waiting for her to come home. I had no idea what I was going to say to her. I did not have a prepared speech. I just knew there was no going back. I waited for her in silence, sitting on the edge of the couch. I had the receipt between my fingers, crumpled, damp with the sweat of my hands. I did not know how much time had passed since I found it, only that I felt numb inside, as if I had been emptied. I was not angry, not yet. I was just empty, as if something in me had stopped working. I heard the lock turn, then her footsteps, the jingle of keys on the entryway table, the slight thud of her purse being set aside. She came in as usual, as if nothing were broken, as if I still believed in her. "What are you doing there so serious?" she asked, relaxing without even looking at me. I did not answer. I just held up the paper. I held it with 2 fingers, extending my arm towards her. There was no need to explain anything. Camila stopped. Her face hardened immediately. No feigning surprise, not a hint of shame. It is not what it seems, she said quickly. Then what is it? My voice sounded calmer than I felt. Too still, as if I already knew the answer. She crossed her arms, tense. It was an emergency. I had no choice. I did not tell you because you were going to react like this. Is that your justification? Lying to me because you assumed how I would react. Oomph, as if I were bothering her. It was just a ring. It is in safekeeping. I did not sell it. I can get it back. Do not make a drama out of this. Just a ring. I repeated, feeling my jaw tremble. That just a ring cost me months of work. It is not about what it is worth. It is what it represents. What it meant to me, to us. I know, but Alvaro was in a difficult situation. I could not leave him hanging. It is always him. I shook my head slowly, without surprise. Always him first, always before me. It is not like that, she replied, already on the defensive. He has always been there for me. I could not turn my back on him. And where does that leave me? Am I your partner, or am I just an extra in your life, while you decide who you owe your loyalty to? She opened her mouth to answer, but said nothing. She just looked at me as if she did not understand why it hurt me so much. Do not talk to me as if I betrayed you. I did not do it out of malice. No, Camila, you did it because you felt like it. You alone decided that what we had was worth less than his problem. I was going to get it back. It was temporary. It is intact. No one has touched it. And you think that fixes anything? Do you think knowing it is there makes this hurt less? She was silent. Her eyes welled up, but no tears fell yet. He asked me for help. He always helped me. I felt like I had to reciprocate. And that was worth more than what we built together? You have thrown it all away. I did not throw it away, she shouted, finally breaking. I was just trying to help. Your loyalty to him cost what you and I had built. She took a step towards me. Her eyes were glassy, but she still spoke as if she could convince me. We can fix this. I love you. I did not mean to hurt you. Sometimes love is not enough, and it is not just about the ring. I shook my head, more to myself than to her. It is everything we promised, everything we swore to take care of, and you broke it as if it were disposable. Now she was crying without holding back, without words. I was scared, she murmured finally. Scared that you would get furious, scared of disappointing you. And lying to me seemed better. I did not know what to do. I thought if I solved everything in time, there would be no consequences, that you would never know. And then we were going to go on as if nothing had happened, with that lie between us. I just wanted to avoid conflict, she confessed, looking down. I was trapped. Whatever I did was going to be wrong. You were not trapped. You chose, and you did not choose me. I ran a hand over my face. Even the air hurt. I have spent so much time justifying you, making excuses for you, lying to myself just to not see the obvious. I told myself you were confused, that everything was temporary, that love was enough. She nodded quickly, as if those words were a rope she could cling to. But it is enough. We can still save this. Give me the chance. No, I said, without raising my voice, without anger, just with certainty. No more. You reached my limit, Camila, and you crossed it. She brought both hands to her face. The crying was uncontrollable. Do not leave me like this. It cannot end this way. Not after everything. It is over. You are leaving tonight. Where am I supposed to go? That is not for me to decide anymore. She stood motionless, looked around as if she suddenly understood that she no longer belonged there. The books we chose together, the photos on the shelf, the crooked vase she always hated. All of that was now closing the door on her. This does not end here, she said between sobs, as if clinging to the impossible. We will talk when you calm down. I will not. Please, do not leave me like this. I swear I will get the ring back. I do not want the ring. I needed your trust in me, and you destroyed my trust in you. I looked at her one last time. A part of me wanted to go to her, take her hand, tell her everything would be okay, but it was not my place anymore. I stood up without saying more. I walked to my room, closed the door behind me. I did not want to see her pack her things. I did not want to hear her cry. I just wanted silence. Minutes later, I heard the front door close with a dry click, and I knew that this time it really was the end. The days following her departure, Camila tried to come back. Calls, messages, even waiting outside my work. She left me notes on the door, long texts at midnight, audios I never listened to. She begged me to talk, not to shut her out like this, that she could explain everything. But there was nothing to explain, nothing that could undo what was already done. I did not answer. I did not open the door. I did not return a single word because I had no words left for her. On the third day, she stopped insisting. She came back to the house one afternoon when I was not there. She took her things in silence, like someone accepting a defeat they never imagined they would have to face. When I arrived, I found the drawers empty, her side of the closet undone, the scent of her perfume still lingering in the air like a ghost that did not know how to leave. And I sat on the bed. I stayed there, letting the weight of the silence do its thing. Weeks passed, then months. Her messages became scarcer, shorter, as if even she were beginning to realize there was no going back. Sometimes she would send me old photos or silly memories of our first dates with phrases like, "Do you remember this?" Or, "I wish we could go back there." Words that came too late, words that at another time would have been enough, but that time no longer existed. A mutual friend told me that Alvaro had a new girlfriend, that he barely exchanged words with Camila, that she had requested a transfer at work, that she was trying to pull herself together. I did not ask any more questions. I was not interested in knowing if she was suffering, if she learned anything, if she regretted it. Not because I wished her ill, but because I finally understood that my well-being could no longer revolve around what she did or did not do. That is how things are. One can give everything, can dream, build, bet on an us with all their heart. But if on the other side there is no respect, it does not matter how much love there is. Love without respect rots. It becomes a burden. It becomes ruin. And this time I chose not to crawl through the rubble. This time I chose to be loyal to myself. Camila was a part of my life, and it hurt to lose her, but it hurt more to stay by the side of someone who never fully chose me. And that is something I am no longer willing to tolerate.